The Auburn Tigers win in Cancun. Let's talk about it.
This is happening in Auburn, Alabama. We're a football school, but we're also an everything school.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. And we're live. Maybe your second listen, maybe your third, I don't know. Joining me as he does after every Auburn basketball game this season, Montgomery radio vet Darrell Dapprich. The Auburn Tigers defeat Bradley, which is in fact the name of a school, not just some bro you used to know, 85-64. Darrell, big picture takeaway in this game is what?
Well, first of all, I like the fact that Auburn put two halves together. We've talked about so much of the season how their depth has worn down opponents in the second half. And I don't understand how Auburn, first of all, give them credit. The biggest takeaway for me is the way they shot the basketball. So you struggle shooting the basketball in your own gym, but you go to a freaking ballroom, that's what that is. That's a ballroom. I'm thinking the Cancun high school prom is going to be there later tonight. They're trying to clear people out, get some balloons in there, some streamers, right? Some punch, and have a prom.
How many people do you think that place sat?
I'm going to say 2,000.
I think that's a little generous.
Okay, probably, yeah. I mean, because the corporate party that's going to be there tomorrow, the corporate Thanksgiving party or Christmas party probably only has 300.
Yeah, that's right.
The announcers even talked about it. Teams go over there, Zach, and struggle shooting in that, low ceiling, the depth perception, and Auburn comes out and just shoots lights out in a tough shooting environment. They did really, really good from the field. Never mind the three-point shooting. I mean, the three-point shooting was at 47%. They shot 56% from the field, did everything they needed to do offensively. And that's the biggest takeaway is they looked as good offensively as they have all year. Now, Bradley was a little undermanned. They had three guys out, including two starters. And that Hickman kid is going to look good in orange and blue next year for Bradley when he transfers. But, they're tough. They're really well coached. And so Auburn playing against Bradley that way and shooting the basketball in a foreign gym.
Yeah.
Well, I call it a gym. I mean, again, it's a ballroom and in a hotel. And they just really that was my biggest takeaway. What a great complete offensive performance. Balanced scoring. Yeah. Jalen Williams comes out, plays really, really well, kind of gets them going. So just a nice night overall for the first round of that tournament for Auburn.
Yeah, 8-17, 47% from three, which is super uncharacteristic of what we've seen from Bruce Pearl teams over the last few years away from Auburn/Neville Arena. And to me, I think that's encouraging, especially with the way the first two games and the exhibition game of the season went. I mean, now at Auburn sits at 5-0. Their path to 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. The threes have started to fall. And that's what we've all were wondering, like, okay, could this happen with this roster? And so far they're proven that it can't, because the shots that they made, like, they're going to be able to generate space and get these open shots against the Tennessees and Arkansas and Kentuckys of the world. It's just, are they always going to fall? And they're not always going to fall at 47%, Darrell. That's what we've talked about every time we do this. If you give Auburn, I'm stealing your take here, but if you give Auburn 30% from three, they're going to beat you
because their inside game is so lethal. This was a great barometer of a team. First of all, 5 dudes in double digits, 5 guys in double digits. Okay, that's the first check mark. You want a recipe to win games? Get 5 guys in double digits. Never mind the shooting percentages, but I have been preaching this and screaming this all year. Auburn doesn't have to shoot it like they did tonight to win in the SEC. Shoot it for 35%, and you'll be fine from three-point land because of Broome's inside presence and how he's developing a real nice inside game. I was impressed with, obviously, Jalen Williams. He hit some shots outside. Flanagan played well. Trehor came off the bench and played really well inside. So Auburn got some points in the paint, and they shot the three well. So I think that all you got to do is just be decent, from average from three-point land, and with their inside game and their transition game, how they get up and down the floor and score in space and score fast break points, that's going to be the formula for success right there.
A few minutes into the game, Darrell, I texted you just 2 words. Jalen Williams. He scored 10 points super quick and then just chilled out, which we've seen Jalen Williams do in the past. He was 4 of 6 on the night, 2 of 3 from 3. And at that clip, I'm like, Jaylin, shoot it more than 6 times. But he got the double digits quick, and he just ended with 11 points, which is a little surprising. And it's a little Jaylin, I know you're doing the right thing because your basketball IQ is so dang high, and you're such a selfless player. You're so into the team first mindset. But Jaylin, at nights like this, where you're off to that hot of a start, I'm okay with you being a little bit more selfish with the basketball.
He only played 19 minutes. I think the reason why that happened was foul trouble. And then it went unnoticed because they cut to commercial and the announcers didn't even mention it, but he got called for a technical foul. He got teed up because of that when they were both, him and the Bradley player were fighting underneath the basket and that hook.
Can we act like all 5 of their names on the opposing team were Bradley?
Yes, we can do it. I like the bro you knew from college guy, frat bro.
We all knew,
but he got called. We did. He got called for the hook underneath, and I think he said something to the official. So not only did he get the personal foul, he got called for a technical.
So you're saying Bruce probably sat him down. Gotcha.
He sat him down for an extended period just to kind of cool him. Which to me, that's not in his DNA. That's really out of character for him to get a technical foul. He felt like he got pulled down. He said something to the official. They come from break. Bradley shooting two free throws. The announcers didn't say anything about it. So I think that's what happened. I think his minutes would have been 22, 23, somewhere in there, if not for the technical foul there. And we would have probably seen him, get 13, 14 points because he got a quick 11. I mean, it was quick. He had double digits within the first 7 minutes of the basketball game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, which is exactly the start that you wanted to see. I think my favorite play of the night ended up I think it was actually an Auburn turnover. They didn't take care of the basketball, but the pass, there's 5 minutes left in the game, I think, when this happened. Chris Moore's bounce pass underneath to Traore when he was making a cut to the basket. Traore got it. It was a beautiful pass, Darrell. And then Traore went up with it, and he didn't have the basketball secured. But, man, what the ball movement of this team can be really, really exciting. And obviously you think of Wendell Greene and Zep Jasper when that comes to mind. But we'll talk about Chance Westry at the 1 in a second. I really liked what I saw from him tonight. But these big men can move it too. Jaylin will pass it. Dylan will pass it. Janai will pass it. All of these guys are pretty good as far as ball movement. And obviously I think as this chemistry and this team gels more and more, there's a lot to like about that upside too.
I think if you play for Bruce Pearl, you have to be able, even if you're a big man, to pass the basketball from perimeter to perimeter. Well, that skip pass across the zone where you can go from one wing to the other wing, you've got to be able to do that. They move the basketball very quickly and efficiently that way. And, you've seen Cardwell come out at the top of the key, grab the basketball, turn around, and somehow get the ball to a wing player for a three. They're very proficient at doing that. And I think that's a good point about the bigs being able to pass, again, wing to wing, that skip pass across the lane. It's important to be able to do that. I saw some things different tonight that I was really impressed with as well. I saw a really concerted effort, even if Broome was getting double teamed on the block. Wendell Greene did a really good job and had a knack of still getting the basketball to Broome over the top. He'd throw that pass where you get separation, like you're going to the basket. He's leading him to the basket. That's a tough pass to make. If Auburn starts executing that, it's over. I mean, if you double down on Broome and Greene is still able to get the ball to him 2 feet from the basket, just throwing that lob over the top, we saw some nice lobs, 3, 4, 5 dunks, high flying stuff. So, I mean, they checked every box as far as how they scored offensively tonight.
Yeah. All right. I want to get the live chat that's here. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Tuesday evening. I want to get y'all's thoughts on Allen Flanagan. Darrell, obviously we'll start with you here, but Allen Flanagan, I mean, you see the moments, right? You see the moments where it's like, man, this guy can do it. And I've liked what I've seen from him for the most part. 2 of 3 from 3. He made all 4 of his free throw attempts, scored 12 points, only shooting it 7 times. Like, you take that. You take that every single night from Allen Flanagan, right?
You do. That's the stat line that if you were to draw up and say, give me the preferred, make my wish as far as what Allen Flanagan's going to bring you every night, that's a stat line right there that you want from Allen Flanagan. And what happened was it started with the defensive side of the ball. He got a nice block on a run out shot, perimeter shot, about 18-foot shot, and he got a block. And I think he fed off that. It was a great block. It was just more of that Auburn kind of flexing their muscles, setting the tone for what the night was going to be defensively. And when he got that block and he got engaged defensively, I think he completely changed the flow offensively. He feeds off that. Now, then he comes down and makes a pass where he forces it, with 3 dudes down there. But I really feel like his game is evolving, and he's getting what you're going to get from him. He's going to rebound the basketball. He's going to play good defense. He's going to shoot that 3 surprisingly effectively. And then let's remember, he's a guy that's really good at attacking the rim and around the rim. So if people start to come out on him when he hits those 3s, I think he's a guy that can put it on the floor, go by you, dunk, that kind of thing. So he's settling in, and I like what I'm seeing from him early on. He's not disappearing from game to game.
Right, which is what you want to see from him for sure. And in the role that he's being asked to play right now, that backup 3, I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great, that role that he's kind of found. I don't think it's the role he wanted 2 years ago, right? Jack in the comments said, I fell in love with Flan in 2020, so I always hope for the best. I don't think he is the Flan of 2020. I think that's all kind of what we're hoping for. I think we're all hoping that comes back, but the role he's being asked to play is different than his 2020 role when he was playing his best basketball.
Well, that's because he didn't have the players around him. He had to be the guy. They leaned on him more for scoring. They leaned on him for a lot of different things, even when Sharif Cooper only played half the year. So he was the guy. He was the guy that Auburn looked to and counted on for a lot of offensive production, and he did well in that role. And then last year happened with the Achilles, and he kind of eased back in, but did not have to be that dude. They had 3 other guys that were more prolific scorers than him. And so now I think you take the happy medium. What we're looking for, what needs to happen, is a combination of the 2020-2021 Allen Flanagan. I know Allen Flanagan didn't have a great year last year, but he changed his game a little bit. I think a hybrid of the 2 years is what Auburn needs because of the depth. Even Pete Gillen, who coached for years in college basketball, said it's been a long time since he's seen a team like this that can come at you in waves. And, you 5 go off the floor, the other 5 come on. And he just started checking off players for Auburn. And it was he just kept going down the roster. And so that from a national standpoint, that's nice to see that recognized. What we've been talking about for a few weeks is that depth is going to be. But that's what Allen Flanagan, they don't need him to be anything more than he was tonight. That's a really good mold of what they need for him.
Yep. To the few folks commenting, yes, I shaved. Don't make a big deal out of it. I like this comment from Cody, Darrell. The Allen Flanagan, Katie Johnson rotation is scary. They definitely feed off of each other. And I think that's interesting because defensively they're different, right? Katie Johnson's aggression on defense is fascinating. I think Allen can defend a little bit, maybe he can defend the 4 and the 5 more than KD can. But offensively, I think most Auburn fans would want them both to play similar roles offensively, right? You get at the top of the key and you give them the keys and you let them go on a drive to the basket, right? And we haven't really seen them want to do that consistently. Now, ironically, Allen was great from 3 tonight. You take that 2 of 3 from 3 stat line from anybody on this roster. But KD, correct me if I'm wrong here, he shot less threes than normal.
He only shot 2. Yeah.
Only shot 2. And he was 5 of 8 from the floor. He scored 13 points. It's like, yeah, that's what we've been begging you to do. And so both of them on the floor at the same time. Darrell, what are your thoughts about Cody's comment there?
I like that. I like that their styles are kind of similar. They kind of mirror each other. What we've talked about is we want to see both attacking the basket more, especially if the threes aren't dropping. And I think they both did that. But then here's the caveat to that. If Flanagan and KD Johnson playing similar styles start to go to the rim hard and go to the rack hard and attack the basket, and defenses adjust to that and start to kind of sag a little bit and stay back, then both have to show the ability to knock down the open three when given to them. And I think they are capable of that. They are both capable of saying, okay, you're going to take away the drive. You're going to take away me attacking the rim. I'll just step back here and pull it and shoot a three. So, that's where both of them on the floor at the same time. And I like Flanagan's he's kind of got a presence on the floor this year of a calming presence. I've watched him go over to other players and kind of say things, point out things, just kind of calm people down a little bit. That's good, and that's big from a maturation standpoint after what we saw sometimes on the bench last year.
Yeah. I'm pleasantly surprised to see that. There's no question about it. Darrell, in just a second, I want to talk about the player that everybody wants to talk about, Chance Westry. I liked what I saw from him at the 1. I want to get your thoughts. And chat, blow us up. Give us your Chance Westry takes. Because, man, you talk about the sponsor, Upside. Chance Westry has all of it. Inflation has us all thinking about different ways to cut back, whether it's driving less, dining out less, buying less from the grocery store. We can all agree less of anything isn't fun. Well, with Upside, you don't have to worry about that. Upside is an incredible app for anyone who buys gas, groceries, or dines out. With Upside, you don't have to cut back because you get cash back on every purchase. All you do is you get your receipt, you take a picture within the Upside app, and you redeem the deal. And then in about 24 hours, boop, you get cash back in your Upside app, and it's real money. You can transfer it to your bank account. You can you can send it to your PayPal. You can I think you can actually get a check mailed to you if you want. Bunch of different ways to redeem it. So download the free Upside app and use promo code LOCKED, LOCKED, to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's $5 cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Use promo code LOCKED in the free Upside app. Chance Westry at the 1. I liked what I saw tonight. Darrell, your thoughts on Chance Westry at the 1?
He's got really good court vision. He does a really good job of getting inside the lane, driving inside the lane, and then finding cutting players underneath the basket or guys that are kind of posted up. I mean, like he does that little drop off pass where it's not really a no look, but he looks like he's going to go to the rim and then he stops and kind of flips it. So he's maturing into that role. Sure. Obviously, he's nowhere near, I think, what we're going to see from him. He had his moments tonight. The and one was big. I think Bradley was coming back, and they were getting it to within 11 or 12 and starting. You could feel some momentum shifting a little bit. And then he comes down and gets a three-point play. I liked that. I liked the way I like his vision. He's got great vision on the court. His shot looked a little bit off tonight. He had 2 or 3 open looks from 3 that he didn't hit. Actually, yeah, he was it says he was 0 of 1. There may have been a couple other shots that he missed that were close to being threes just inside the 3-point line. But that'll come. And what I like about him is, for a freshman, he has the court awareness to say, okay, I'm not hitting shots from the perimeter. It's time to go inside. It's time to take the ball to the rim. And if I'm blocked off, or if they sag, or if they come over and switch and help on defensively, he's getting that little drop-off pass and finding the open post players down low. So I like his game. It's maturing a lot as a 1, and I think that I never would have thought that was his future. I thought his future was at the 3 or even the off guard.
Yeah, no, it seems like they see him as a 1-2 combo guy, which is cool, I guess. It makes that guard rotation even more confusing, right? Because we were already it almost seems like 4 was too much, and now there's a 5th guy. And so you kind of wonder what's going to happen to Zepp's minutes, and you kind of wonder what's going to happen to Trey Donaldson's minutes as Chance Westry plays more and more. We thought it was Flanagan and Chris Moore that were going to kind of get most of their minutes shaved off, but it seems like it may be those two guys.
I think that the emergence and the way Chris Moore has played so far this year, with tonight kind of being an outlier, he only had 2 points. But I think Chris Moore's emergence has kind of forced that. I think that's moved Westry into the guard rotation and not the 3 rotation, because Bruce Pearl sees he can count on and trust Chris Moore at the 3 along with Alan Flanagan. So to get Westry his minutes, he's moved him into the backup point guard role. And that's out of necessity with, I think, the way that Chris Moore has forced Bruce Pearl's hand on that, I think.
I think it's a good problem, right? I think
it's a great problem to have.
All right, Darrell, I'm going to bring up Hamp Richardson's comment here. And I saw a lot of Auburn Twitter talking about this throughout the game. Hamp says we need to be better on defensive rebounding. The other team has too many second chance opportunities. So as far as this game, the defensive rebounding, I mean, Auburn had 24 defensive rebounds to Bradley's 15. They both had 7 offensive rebounds. I'm with you, though. I mean, it seems like this team's pretty good at offensive rebounding. Is that a Dylan thing? Is that a Janai Broome still getting used to everything thing? What are your thoughts on that, if you even think that that's a thing, Darrell?
I don't think it's that much of a problem, because part of the reason is if you look at the offensive rebounds Bradley had, they had 7 overall. And I'm going to tell you right now, go back and watch the film. 4 of those were on 1 possession. It was that stinking possession where Bradley missed 4 shots and got the rebound 4 times.
Yep.
And that was just about positioning. Auburn's bigs were too deep underneath the basket, and the ball was just coming out a little bit far. That's an adjustment. So if you take away that fluky trip, now that is unacceptable. You can't give a team on a possession 4 looks at the basket after 4 misses and get 4 offensive rebounds.
Sure.
If you take those away, they had 3 or 4. So 4 of those were in 1 possession, which was a frustrating possession. When Cardwell and Broome and their bigs get in trouble and give up second chance points and give up offensive rebounds, to me, they look like they're too deep underneath the basket. Or they're vacating too soon. See, that's the problem when you play that style of basketball where you're ready to run and give Auburn's bigs credit. They run the floor. If you vacate too soon and you're getting ready to get down the floor, sometimes when you do that, the rebound falls to the opponent. So you got to be a little more disciplined and make sure before you get it and go, you get it. Yeah. And don't just go.
The pinned comment here in the live chat, I asked, who is your Auburn MVP tonight? Wendell Greene leading the way over Janai and Jaylin. And so Wendell's a guy we haven't talked a whole lot about this evening, Darrell. I mean, Wendell had a Wendell night. I mean, 5 of 10, which isn't, I mean, he's not the most efficient scorer, but he always gets it done. I mean, he shoots it 10 times. And he scores 14 points, made it to the free throw line 3 times, made it twice. And the team's just better when he's there. 6 assists, 3 steals,
3 rebounds.
Another solid outing for Wendell Greene. Nothing super flashy.
No,
but he just gets the job done.
I mean, 14 points, like you mentioned, 6 assists is what you want from your point guard. Did a great job getting the ball down low to Broome in positions where he could score. Then he helps you out and gets 3 rebounds. He gets 3 steals. He was efficient, 2 of 4 from behind the 3-point line. He had a couple of out and ones, and I thought he played good defensively. So he brought everything you want to the table as far as your point guard, and he ate up a lot of minutes. I mean, he played 24 minutes, team high with minutes with 24. Zepp only played 16. So that goes, I mean, there's the minutes from the backup. We saw Zepp be the backup 1 last year. He's not this year. He has 16 and Westry has 17. So that's kind of the minutes that get split there.
Zepp was the only shot he took the 3 that he made. Did he shoot it again? Let's see.
That's it. It's the only shot. 1 of 1 and he hit the 3.
I always have a rule. If your only shot is a 3 and you make the first one, you gotta heat check.
Yeah, I mean, he's looked good the last couple games shooting the 3. He's not shot a lot, but he's made what he's shot. He's been very efficient.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see him, maybe them run some sets to get him a little bit more open with them, because he's shown that he's been efficient the last couple games. You can trust him shooting them.
Sure. All right. Hamp with another point. Broome will hold this team together in conference play. I can't wait I can't wait to see Janai in conference play for two reasons. One, because I think he's going to be really good in conference play. But the other is, I think the step and the version that we see of Janai right now is only going to get better for two reasons. One, the flow of the game, right? Two is his ankle. Like, he's still not 100%. And I think we're getting closer and closer, because he looked pretty good tonight.
Yeah, I think from an SEC play standpoint, by the time you can roll around and get into January, he is going to be so comfortable in this offense. I think that ankle is going to be almost 100%. I think the level of competition that he'll be facing in the SEC, where it gets ratcheted up, is going to ratchet up his play. Because right now, the intangibles that he brings down low on the block and the moves he makes, and how tough he is with the basketball, strong he is with the basketball. He can catch the basketball in traffic. He can catch the basketball with his offhand when you lob it over the top. That's a tough – I mean, again, I'm not trying to knock – but remember, Auburn went years without a post player that seemed like they could catch the basketball on the block. Whether you were throwing it at their feet or you were throwing it high, they just small hands and couldn't catch it. I mean,
that was the wildest thing about Austin Wiley. Yeah, he couldn't catch the ball.
He took years off my life because he couldn't catch the ball, and they would get the ball to him in a catchable position, and he couldn't do it. So it's nice to see.
Yeah.
And even Walker Kessler, he wasn't dynamic catching the ball in traffic. He got a lot of his points off dunks, off offensive rebounds. He didn't get the ball, getting it lobbed over he got him on some lobs going to the basket on some alley-oops. But the way Broome had two dudes on his hip, one in his back pocket, one next to him, and he still is able to catch the ball off the offhand, that's important.
Yep. Hamp also highlighting he's a hustler on each side of the floor. There's no question about it. There's no question about it.
You know what he does too? Addition. One thing that I love watching little nuances of the game and watching how people do certain little fundamentals. He when he rebounds the basketball, he doesn't grab it with one hand and bring it to him. He's very good at going up with two hands and catching it in traffic. And he catches the ball offensively that way. And he does a good job defensively rebounding the basketball with two hands. He's strong. You ain't getting the ball. And when he blocks the ball sometimes, he's able to – has this knack where he can block it with one hand and kind of catch it with the other. I don't know. It's an art, and it's really special when you watch him and you watch Cardwell, who got called for defensive goaltending, which was a brutal call. That was not defensive goaltending. That was a clean block. So should give Dylan another block with his stats. He got robbed on that one. But then Broome, I think, did goaltend, and they gave him a block. So it evens out at the end of the day.
Yeah. Our friend Clay Sharp saying that Jaylin needs to be more selfish. That's one of the first things we said. Clay, thanks for joining us. I'm with you. He scored 10 points in like just a few minutes, but then as Darrell pointed out, he had that technical foul, and we're just kind of assuming that Bruce set him down.
See, but that's the thing you don't want. I get what Clay's saying, but Jalen Williams is what he is because he does not play outside of what makes him good. So if you start asking him to do things that he's not comfortable doing, meaning, I better shoot the ball more, I better force this up because I need to be more selfish. You're asking him to do things outside of his comfort zone, which takes away his strengths. His strengths are exactly what he does. He does very, very well. If you ask him to do more or be something different, you may not get as an effective Jalen Williams.
Cody asked, does the big man rotation allow Broome to have any 30-10 games this year?
It's going to be tough.
That's hard for any college player to do.
And the way Bruce, cuts up, splits up minutes, it's going to be very difficult because I think for Broome to do that, he would have to play 28, 29, 30 minutes, and that's just not going to happen with Cardwell.
Yeah, unless Dylan picked up like 3 fouls in like the first.
And then you'd have to ride him, right? You'd have to get him a little bit out of his comfort zone and ask him to play. I mean, he played 17 minutes tonight, Broome did. And in order for him to get 30 and 10, I think you're going to have to get up into the 28, 29 minute area. And that's asking a lot of someone that's averaging about 17 or 18. Maybe as the season wears on, he gets used to that. But I don't. It's going to be interesting if one of the two gets in foul trouble.
Yeah.
What do you do? Because I mean, as much as the kid has stuck with Auburn, Stretch gives you nothing from an offensive standpoint. Yeah, from a weapon standpoint.
And still, though, I'm just thinking in that situation, like, I still think Bruce would be okay giving Stretch 4 minutes just to like survive. You know, if Dylan had 4 fouls or something like that with, I don't know, 15 minutes left to go in the game. Like, I think Stretch can give you 3 or 4 minutes just to kind of give Janai and Dylan a breather. Then
you better put 2 or 3 other scorers on the floor with him that are dynamic at that, that rotation. You better have 4 other options to score the basketball.
I'm not saying it's ideal. I'm just saying I think you could do it.
Because they'll overplay. You know what I'm saying? They'll like leave him alone. I mean, they will. And they'll go double down on somebody else on the wing and leave him completely uncontested. I've seen that happen. And so he'll come in and give you good defense, and he'll hustle, and he'll give you some rebounds. But, yeah, from a scoring standpoint, you're going to have to find it somewhere else. But, yeah, I mean, he could give you 4 or 5 points if one of those two got in foul trouble. I still want to see Jalen Williams slide down to the 4 position.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen that some, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. He's playing the 4. He's starting at the 4. I wonder if he could play the 5.
I gotcha. He did as a freshman, right?
Right. We saw that as a freshman. So I think in an emergency situation, if let's say Broome or Cardwell had foul trouble, then you wanted to keep them. You could put Williams at the 5. You could put Trehor at the 4, Flanagan more at the 3, and you could switch that lineup up a little bit and do that just to bide some time to keep the other guys from picking up that foul.
Yeah. Guys, we've got a few minutes left. If you want to get your questions or comments or reactions from tonight's win, go ahead and put them in there. We'd love to respond. Yeah, Wendell Greene's running away now with the MVP vote, which I'm a little surprised, actually. I probably would have voted. I did vote. I voted Janai Broome, and I think there's this energy around there. But, hey, Wendell Greene certainly deserving of that vote. Anybody else from tonight? We haven't really talked about Trehor. Did he do anything that impressed you?
Played 21 minutes, and he had a nice couple nice dunks down low.
Darrell, my thing with him is like he played 21 minutes, but other than like that being on the receiving end of that awesome pass from Chris Moore, like I still just don't really notice him, and I'm waiting for him to do something where he's like, "Hey, if you're watching this, you're seeing me take over this game," and I'm just waiting for it. And I believe that it's coming. I'm just waiting for it.
The dunk in traffic was nice. It was a flash. It was an oh wow moment. Oh, okay, I can see flashes now. He got the ball, went up quick and dunked in traffic. Only shot it 5 times and had 5 points, but he did play a lot of minutes, like you said. I think you got to get more than 2 rebounds from him too. I agree. If you play 21 minutes and you're playing that position, you need to get more than 2 rebounds.
All right, so Auburn will play the winner of Liberty and Northwestern. That game teed off like 14 seconds ago, and so they will play them Wednesday night at 7:30. Darrell, you and I are planning to have a post-game show, unless I have trouble with my flight to Ohio. I should be able to do it. You're going to be traveling as well.
Yeah,
we in theory should be able to, but if it's not both of us, it should be able to be at least one of us. So just kind of a quick programming note on that. You feel one way or the other? I mean, based off of record, I assume we'll be playing Northwestern, but I don't know that.
Yeah, I think so. I think, and I like that matchup. I like playing a Big Ten team, right? I mean, it's kind of fun playing somebody, get out of that. I mean, listen, Auburn has not played. They've played mid-majors, right? That's it, mid-majors throughout this whole thing. So I'm ready for another power conference game. So to take on a Big Ten team in Northwestern is what I would prefer, and I'd like to see the measuring stick there.
Yeah, is that going to be like a big quality win? No, but maybe it could turn into one, right? At least there's upside to that on your resume. I don't think you're going to get that with Liberty, who's already like 2-2 on the year.
It's probably the difference between a quad 2 and a quad 3 win because you're playing a Big Ten opponent on a neutral. You remember it's a neutral floor.
Good point.
And this was the first time that Auburn ventured outside of, which blows my mind. This was the first time they didn't play a basketball game inside Neville Arena. So for that aspect, first time on the road, albeit a neutral floor, Cancun offers a lot of distractions, man. Mm-hmm. And Auburn came out, put those aside, and played their best basketball game, I think, of the year.
Yeah, and there were videos of them, going down water slides and having a good time. I kind of wonder if, they did similar things in their trip to Israel, and obviously they did, a lot of serious sites and spiritual sites and had a lot of serious conversations, but they had fun too, right?
Right.
So
the bonding thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of wonder if that was a good experience for also when they do stuff like this. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but maybe.
I think that this trip is more of a focus on some recreation and some fun. The trip to Israel was about getting close, team bonding, some educational aspects of that trip.
Totally.
There were some spiritual aspects of that trip. This is, when you compare going to Jerusalem and the Holocaust Museum to going down a water slide and kayaking, you can see that this is more about, hey, let's have a good time and 100%. Have fun. Exactly. But there's more to me. I think it's harder to play in this environment than it is in Israel.
I agree.
I think Israel, you by the nature of the subject matter, you were closer. It was more serious. So you take basketball more serious, and you're playing these national teams, which draw a little different mindset than, playing teams that are mid-majors and that kind of thing. So it'll be interesting, but give them credit. They came out and played well in that environment.
Yep. Jack, writer at auburndaily.com. Northwestern pointing out Northwestern has a few guys over 6'10". That height will be interesting to see since Auburn does have smaller 4s and 5s. Yeah, that's a good point.
I wonder how athletic they are, but that's going to be the key because our 4s and 5s are really athletic. And so we'll see if that creates a matchup problem.
And Tony is saying that Creighton is just dribbling and passing straight through Arkansas.
And if Trey Alexander's having a big game, that's another something that sticks in my craw.
I understand. Yep. Nope. You hate to see it.
But although, where was he going to play? He saw the writing on the wall. Was he going to be the 6th guard to come off the? When you go get a Westry and some of those guys, it's a whole different thing. So yeah, he's a good player. He's a good player, but Auburn's got a ton of good players in the backcourt.
Darrell, how can people follow all the stuff that you have going on this busy week?
It's been fun. We've had some people interacting with Twitter over the last 3 or 4 days. I love doing that with our listeners. At DAP6410 is my Twitter handle. Follow me on Twitter. I'll follow you back because I like the interaction. Also, Auburn Opelika this morning with Ben Taylor on WANI every Monday morning from about 7:10 to 7:30. And if I do not get a chance because of traveling tomorrow to tell everybody happy Thanksgiving, I want to do that. Thankful for everybody that listens to the show. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, Zach. Thankful for you, my friend.
Thankful for you too, buddy, and safe travels. And like Darrell said, we should be able to get a live show up tomorrow night after Auburn, either playing Liberty or Northwestern. We'll see for that Cancun Challenge Championship. You can find all my written work at auburndaily.com. If you're still here, please like this video. Please subscribe to Locked On Auburn. That channel is growing like crazy, and we really, really appreciate it. We will see you soon. This has been Locked On Auburn.